Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here, and it's time for another reaction request. If you have a video that you would like me to react to, check the description below. There's a link that'll take you to a Google document with all of the relevant information. So today we're going to be looking at this video, ranking the 9 main Star Wars musical scores, featuring Sideways, and this is from Schaffrillas Productions? I think I've looked at this channel before. I remember this avatar icon. Here. I forget what exactly I watched from them, but I think I watched at least one video of theirs. So, yeah. But this one's about Star Wars, specifically the scores, which is interesting. I mean, obviously, very famous musical scores there from John Williams, and I would definitely think that the classic trilogy is probably at the top of the list here. I've never really thought too much about it because it's a little bit hard to separate the scores from the films in my mind. And obviously for me, the original trilogy just so far outclasses everything else that I think those scores end up being at the top as well. But if I was to try to be objective, I don't know. I mean, I guess the prequel had some good music. I can't really remember any of it very well right now. As for the sequel trilogy, I definitely can't remember any of that. I, for the record, have still never seen the 9th one. I just never got interested. And I think I've seen The Force Awakens maybe twice, and The Last Jedi once. And definitely don't remember any music from either of them. So yeah. Anyway, let's see what he has to say about this, and go ahead and get this started. I did bring the... I'm fairly certain I did. I usually do, but just to make sure we are recording the screen. Yeah, okay. Here we go.
Schaffrillas is provided by Surfshark VPN. Tune until the end to find out about their amazing service. I love Star Wars, but it does not love me back. Oh. This franchise is filled with some of the highest highs and lowest lows in media history. There are no universally agreed upon opinions in this franchise other than the original 2 are good. Everything else is totally up in the air. Actually, wait a minute. There is one universally loved element of these films. The one and only consistent creative voice throughout the entire 9-film saga. And the one aspect of every film that everyone agrees has some semblance of quality. That is, of course... Oh my god, these movies have such phenomenal scores. They are awe-inspiring, and the best part is that the quality of the scores is completely independent from the quality of the movie. Most of the time. Even if you hate nearly every aspect of one of these movies, you can't deny that John Williams gave it his all and delivered an absolute masterpiece of a score 8 out of 9 times. So, as a tribute to the musical maestro himself, I figured I'd rank and review every score from the main saga of Star Wars films. Rogue One, Solo, even the Clone Wars movies, surprisingly, all have great scores, but I figured it was best to keep things simple and just stick to Williams' work for this list. I'm not only looking at how great the music sounds on its own, but how well it complements the scenes within the film, and how well implemented the various songs throughout the franchise's history are used in each film. But then I remembered that I have no substantial musical training, and it might be great to get a second opinion from someone who actually analyzes film scores. And
yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Happen to be free.
If you know
if
one,
you like my channel, definitely give his a watch.
Hi everyone, I'm Sideways. I make videos about film scores and music theory and all kinds of music-related stuff. I literally cannot shut up about music no matter how much people beg.
Together we formed our own rankings of the 9 scores and then combined our lists together to make the definitive Star Wars score ranking. So let's get into it.
Disappointment. excitement in the game of life.
Even though Sideways and I had wildly different rankings in almost every respect, there is one placement we unanimously agreed upon. One movie with a score so shockingly horrendous that it easily took the bottom spot by a huge margin. And that movie is the Rise of Skywalker. Look, the goal of this list is total objectivity when it comes to the quality of the films these scores are attached to. For the purposes of this list, it doesn't matter that this is the worst Star Wars movie. If anything, the musical score here is way better than the movie it's attached to. But with that said, the score is still bad. Really bad. Sideways already has an excellent 27-minute video about this topic, so I'll take over here and keep it brief. This is a score that serves almost exclusively as a greatest hits medley that misunderstands the meaning behind many of the songs it's playing. I mean, there are a few things I like in here. The way the Imperial March plays when the Star Destroyers rise up was kinda cool. I like the celebration music at the end quite a bit. It's no Return of the Jedi celebration music, but it has a nice uplifting feel to it. And that final scene contains a beautiful melding of different mystical Star Wars themes. I kinda like it. Once the score kicks in during the lightsaber fight on the second Death Star ruins, it's fairly exciting. And I honestly don't hate the fact that Yoda's theme plays when Luke lifts the X-Wing. I think it's an okay callback showing that Luke is following in his old master's footsteps. Okay, that's enough nice things about Rise of Skywalker for one video, I think. God, I'm just so sick of nearly every aspect of this score. It overplays so many tracks to the point where they just lose all meaning, particularly the Force theme and Palpatine's theme. Hearing them over and over is absolutely comical after a while. I don't need to hear Palpatine's theme when they're just talking about his plan. It does nothing for me. Just cool it with the Palpatine, guys. There is such a thing as too much Palpatine. The use of the main theme when all the ships came to help was honestly cringeworthy and only enhanced the feeling of phoniness present within the actual scene. There's a ton of baffling miscalculations, like when a heroic flourish accompanies Chewbacca being taken prisoner. Look guys, Chewie's alive! Isn't this a happy moment? Oh wait, no, it's not. He's a prisoner, plus nobody actually expected him to be dead. What is wrong with this movie? But for me personally, the moment I hate the most, and there are a lot of hateable moments I won't mention because Sideways covered them pretty well, but I personally hate the use of the Force theme during the climax. First of all, if Palpatine's theme is blaring as he overwhelms Rey with lightning, you'd think the proper musical response when she gets the upper hand would be, oh, I don't know, a heroic reworking of Rey's theme? Is Rey even her own character anymore? Not only do I hate the mystical, beautiful Force theme accompanying Palpatine's face getting melted off and General Pride getting blown out a window, I hate it even more because the very last movie knew exactly where and how to use the Force theme in its climax. I'll get to that when I get to it, but here's a quick comparison. Which scene do you think the music fits better?
Yeah, that's pretty apparent.
What a shit show. I can't wait to tear into the rest of this movie at a later date. But for now, just know that the score sucks, and I don't even blame John Williams for this. The whole movie was a rushed hodgepodge, and many of Williams' unique ideas were sadly left out in favor of original trilogy pandering. Again, Sideways explains this really well in his video. To conclude, I think it's absolutely hysterical that after this movie's baffling nomination for the Academy Award for Best Original Score, the Academy changed the eligibility requirements so that 60% of a film's score must be new. It can't be a coincidence that this rule came immediately after the ceremony where this pile of dog shit got nominated. There is barely anything
there's probably a
original
connection
about any
there.
of this trash. Endgame was robbed of a nomination. I'm so mad. Let's just move on. Fortunately, this is the only bad Star Wars score, so this will be a much happier video from this point forward. Alright, this placement is bound to surprise some people, so let me just reiterate that all 8 of these remaining scores are good, at the bare minimum. But with that said, the Phantom Menace. Yes, it has Duel of the Fates. Yes, I personally adore Duel of the Fates, and I think it underscores the Maul fight very nicely. But aside from Duel of the Fates, it's really not an exceptional score in my opinion. The word I most prominently used in my notes to describe multiple tracks was epic. Oh, the music during the droid fight on the Trade Federation ship was epic. All the music when they're being chased by the big goober fish is epic. All the music when they're escaping Naboo, now that is epic. But that's really how I'd describe most of the soundtrack. It gives off an exciting feel in the moment and makes the scenes way more engaging than they'd be otherwise. But for the most part, nothing sticks out as being all that memorable. Overall, the score just feels way too bombastic all the time, no matter the situation, and there's very little variation. There are individual moments that really stick out, like the majestic choir that kicks in when they reach the underwater city. Also, I really like the music when Anakin boots up his pod racer. It almost sounds Lion King-esque and comes across as really beautiful.
It's working! It's working!
Yeah, okay, I can hear that.
But these are just fleeting moments. There's not much I can really grasp onto or remember that well. Coruscant is a big waste of time in the story, and coincidentally, I'm bored by every piece of music set on this planet. But the score comes back to life again at the same time as the story, when Jar Jar shouts, From then on, I'm really into the final act. The music when Anakin takes flight is great, mainly because it's the music when you complete a level on LEGO Star Wars, and I think that's the only reason actually, is literally just nostalgia. But Duel of the Fates rocks, Qui-Gon's funeral music is pretty sick, I love the parade music at the end, it's a series of subsequent jams. I wish the score was more varied overall, since most tracks, while good, feel very samey and interchangeable. But it's a good score, and believe me when I say that our boy John was only just getting warmed up with these prequels.
I completely agree. There's a lot of parts of this score that just feel like all gas and no brakes, which at a glance feels exactly like something you'd want from a bombastic film like this, but at the end of the day, the score reflects the story. You can tell that John Williams was just as confused as the audience when they were trying to figure out what emotional beats Lucas was trying to hit, which is unfortunate because as cool as some of those set pieces are, they end up coming off a little confused in the big picture. Like, yes, Duel of Fates is really cool, but when you find out that what they're singing has no meaning because Williams just liked the way certain Sanskrit words sounded, it's awkward through and through, just like Jar Jar. And I mean, it's cool that the parade at the end of the film is the Emperor's theme sped up, and it's neat that he included elements of the Imperial March in Anakin's theme, but it never really feels like Williams does anything with that. So I mean, like, all in all, the Phantom Menace is okay, it's not bad. It's not bad.
The last of the Jedi, I said you were, but I...
The two of us were certainly very mixed on the Last Jedi score, and given my history with this film, you might be surprised to hear that I was actually on the more positive side of things this time around. I personally thought that this was by far the best score out of all the sequels, since while it's certainly one of the less hummable Star Wars scores, I feel like it's an integral aspect of the film's themes and tone. It underscores many emotional beats nicely and works for the avant-garde nature of many sequences. The Sacred Jedi text music is very lighthearted and mystical, underscoring Yoda's nature very well without feeling redundant. There's a tremendous sense of dread and urgency in the score when Rey reaches out to the dark. I love the whimsy when Luke reunites with R2. The otherwise awful space Leia scene has an exceptionally beautiful reworking of Leia's theme. It's insanely powerful. My biggest shout out goes to the song that I'm pretty sure nobody has ever complimented ever in history before. The Canto Bite music.
You take that back!
No, I don't think I will.
I was way too distracted by all the garbage on screen to notice what a unique jam it is. It's like they mixed the Cantina music from A New Hope with Coconut Mall from Mario Kart Wii. I didn't know I needed a song like that in Star Wars until now. And obviously, my best compliments are reserved for the final act. So many action beats in the Praetorian Guard battle are underscored perfectly. The music building up to the Lightspeed Ram is intense. Bringing back Luke and Leia's theme from Return of the Jedi is absolutely fantastic. And when Luke marches out onto the battlefield, it's tremendously powerful. There's a twinge of Imperial March in there, as if Luke is carrying Vader with him onto the battlefield. The music during the climax gives me chills. The angelic choir when Rey lifts the rocks. The intensity of the reveal that Luke isn't there. The elegant, absolutely perfect use of Binary Sunset, aka the Force theme, during Luke's death. And the wistful conclusion as Luke fades away. I honestly couldn't have asked for a better death scene for Luke Skywalker, and it's mostly thanks to the music. So I really dig The Last Jedi score overall, even if it does have its fair share of problems, like its overuse of the Force theme.
True, I've always said that it feels like Disney's trying to use the Force theme as the new main theme for the sequels, but I guess you kinda gotta weigh that out for yourself. For me, I was really excited to hear a new theme for the newest addition to the cast, Rose. It's this light-hearted but sincere theme that I thought perfectly encapsulated Rose as a character, all while still making it feel like she belongs in the Star Wars canon at large. I was excited to see how her theme was going to develop in Episode 9, but she doesn't actually show up in Episode 9, and neither does her theme. Oh, and I also really loved hearing Luke and Leia's theme when they shared that little moment.
It's kind of a big... character in the 8th one. I was surprised.
I guess you could even say that it felt like these two moments rhymed.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
But for me personally, one of the greatest musical moments in this film is actually a moment of silence. If you notice, Williams builds up to this profound moment when Holdo takes out the supremacy. It makes you feel like you're being suspended in the vacuum of space, while also drawing attention to the breathtaking visuals of what's happening on screen, which just adds to the overall effect. It's absolutely spectacular. Having said all that, we still have weird moments, like it's really strange that we get the main Star Wars theme when BB-8 shoots coins at a security guard.
Yeah, that is weird.
So yeah, even though it's
That
got
seems
some
like it should be a
positives,
funny,
it's definitely not
quirky
my favorite
moment.
score.
The Force.
Awaken!
Oh, wait, let me do this one. Okay. So for me, the real treat of The Force Awakens comes from when you compare this film to The Phantom Menace. Instead of Williams having to connect the musical dots from Anakin to Vader, with the sequel trilogy, Williams could power forward and write new music. And while there was still the challenge of having to write new music that would fit within the same universe of the other 6 films, Williams had all the opportunity in the world to morph and bend old music into new themes and ideas to develop this new story. Which, from a film score nerd perspective, was incredibly exciting. Like, just looking at Rey's theme alone gave fans hundreds of hours of speculation about who Rey was and what she was going to become and what Williams was going to do with her theme for the other 2 films. Hearing that menacing theme for the First Order and Kylo Ren and how it was related to the Emperor's theme was as electric as it was enticing. Even themes like the March of the Resistance gave our heroes a militaristic or even imperialistic tone, which for me created a parallel between the Resistance in the sequel trilogy and the Empire in the original trilogy, which when you first hear it makes you think like, oh, what if in the sequels the Resistance are kind of the bad guys? Like, oh, that's really interesting. The film laid out a really fantastic framework for the sequels to build off of. And even if the sequel trilogy came to a really unfortunate ending, it had a killer opening.
Force Awakens certainly deserves a ton of credit for opting to do its own thing a lot of the time, and introduce a plethora of new musical themes for its characters. Ironic, considering this is the most derivative of the original trilogy story-wise, but it's the least derivative in the score department. But yeah, I remember being blown away by Rey's theme when I saw the movie in theaters the first time, because it was incredibly unique by Star Wars standards. I love how it basically tells the story of her life since there's no dialogue in the scene. It's just so captivating and whimsical. One thing to note is that the movie elects not to use music in many key scenes, which works for those scenes, but as a side effect, leaves the score a little barren. There's not a ton to talk about outside of the excellent character themes, but there are definitely some standout moments. The attack on the village in the beginning perfectly establishes the might of the First Order and the sorrow of the village's destruction. I love the sense of wonder when the Falcon approaches Maz's castle. Jabba Flow is a solid alternative to the OG Cantina music. The score when Kylo abducts Rey is really damn frightening. Han's death scene is flat out incredible thanks in no small part to the music. The moment where Rey beats Kylo has an amazing heroic flourish. The ending has great, emotionally resonant incorporations of both Leia and Rey's themes, and an excellent build up to the reveal of Luke. So yeah, lots to like here, and it doesn't feel too redundant. Pretty good stuff.
Star Wars, a billion years in the making.
What can be said about the most iconic score in film history that hasn't already been said? A New Hope was a tremendous technical accomplishment in nearly every way, and one of its most praised elements is the exceptional music. I love how it feels whimsical and mystical whenever it focuses on the droids, making their journey feel like a fairy tale. Binary Sunset is arguably the most iconic scene in the entire franchise, and the score carries it so far.
John Williams is like, have you ever heard the sound of despair, a call from the void to do something great, and a glimmer of hope all at once? 'Cause here it is!
Seriously, imagine this scene without John Williams. You can't. Imagine the ending scene without the music.
Yeah, that's
Williams' score is baked into the very DNA of this franchise and this film in particular. It's impossible to take it out and keep the same emotional impact because he captures the essences of the story so perfectly. Leia's theme is a great example. It's hauntingly beautiful and it can evoke a number of feelings: sorrow, wistful nostalgia, and above all, hope. This song is the essence of hope distilled into a musical format. I love when it briefly appears again during the chasm scene. The The Cantina song is a phenomenal mood setter. It sounds familiar yet alien at the same time. It's insane that this song we've only heard once in the entire series has become an integral cornerstone of the series itself. But it's also kinda easy to see why. The Wookiee prisoner sequence starts out both whimsical and sinister at the same time to go along with a goofy plan, but transitions nicely into action when the gang starts blasting. The action in general scored very well. However, if I had to nitpick the most iconic film score of all time, I'd say there are definitely a lot of missed opportunities in the score where there could have been more impact. For example, the destruction of Alderaan doesn't have the punch that it really deserves. The score doesn't convey much sorrow or horror very well during this pivotal moment. I also think some sort of musical flourish should have been in the cards when Han saves Luke in the Death Star battle. The score doesn't acknowledge his heroic return, and I always found that to be really odd. Many scenes probably could have used music as well, like Obi-Wan and Vader's duel for instance, but those are all totally nitpicks. This is an excellent score, if a bit on the simple side compared to everything that comes after it.
I'm so conflicted about this film. On one hand, this is the one that started it all, but on the other hand, there's a lot of retconning with the music when you look at the series at large. Like, a lot of people don't notice the Imperial March doesn't show up in this film. The first time we hear it is in The Empire Strikes Back. And looking back on it, a lot of people don't realize that the Force theme isn't actually the Force theme. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi's theme.
Come here, my little friend.
Okay.
Don't
I
be
guess that
afraid.
makes sense.
Oh, don't worry, he'll be alright.
So when you hear Obi-Wan Kenobi's theme, or the Force theme, right here for our Binary Sunset, it almost feels like Lucas got lucky when Williams figured out how to use and develop that theme in the following 8 films. But then again...
in my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
But you're right, this is the original. Without it, there'd be no Star Wars, and there are just so many moments in this film that we remember not only because of the magical visuals, but the memorable music as well.
I don't like sand.
Oh. This one.
Coarse and rough and irritating.
Sorry, with the meme lines.
And it gets everywhere.
Attack of the Clones soundtrack is shockingly spectacular, and I hate Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
it's
it's
my least
pretty
favorite
terrible.
prequel and second least favorite Star Wars movie overall. But hot damn, this is such an exceptional, varied, emotionally powerful score that it's hard not to get even the tiniest bit invested in what's going on screen. Just the tiniest bit.
I want to agree, when I was a kid, I thought this film was the coolest thing ever. But since revisiting this film as an adult, those scenes about the sand are pretty awkward.
Yeah.
Sounds an awful lot like a dictatorship to me.
Well, if it works.
Having said that, I really love how Williams scored the entire third act. The orchestration, the arrangement, everything about this last third of the film just sounds absolutely amazing. But one of my favorite moments of this film actually comes from this really subtle moment when Anakin's looking for his mother. If you pay attention, we're hearing the Duel of Fates, which at this point we've only heard for Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Similarly, we're hearing it while Anakin is riding his speeder bike across Tatooine, which again, if you've been paying attention, is exactly how we're introduced to Darth Maul in Episode 1. It's this great visual and musical reflection that hints us toward Anakin falling to the dark side. But if I have to talk about my favorite part of this film, then really, I can't think of a better theme than the love theme for Anakin and Padme, Across the Stars.
Across the Stars is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever heard. It's used so effectively throughout the film and just builds and builds in intensity as Anakin and Padme's romance grows more intense. Honestly, the best word I have to describe this song is godlike. One of my favorite
let down by the dialogue in
march
this
at
scene,
the end,
isn't it?
transitioning to Across the Stars, as the scene cuts from Palpatine's budding empire to the wedding of the forbidden lovers. So damn good. But wait, there's more! The speeder chase sounds totally unique, unlike the more homogenized, bombastic sound of the action in Phantom Menace. It's all thanks to the phenomenal instrumentation. Camino has such an air of mystery surrounding it, and the score accordingly gives off an eerie, mysterious feeling so perfectly. And the reveal of the clones is scored absolutely phenomenally as well. There's so many other great pieces, like the excellent action score accompanying Obi-Wan and Jango's fight, the delightful whimsy when Anakin and Padme roll around in the grass, the subtle use of Imperial March and the Emperor's theme when Anakin talks about killing sand people, and like, I don't know, the entire third act? Mace Windu's entrance? Super exciting. The moment Yoda and the clones arrive? Awesome. When we hear Across the Stars as Padme falls out of the gunship? I felt that, bro. But my favorite musical moment in the film comes during the Yoda versus Dooku fight. Not only is the choir an incredible dramatic touch, but when Yoda lifts the big pillar thing and saves Obi-Wan and Anakin, we get to hear this. An action-y reworking of Yoda's theme from Empire.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so satisfying. Attack of the Clones score is just excellent all around. There's no element I can call weak outside of a couple oddly reused tracks. And that really doesn't bother me that much at all. If there was ever any doubt that John Williams was the best thing about the prequels, let such doubts be quelled by this film.
Is chasing us, they simply will not cease.
Believe it or not, it was a pretty close call between Clones and Empire for this spot, but in the end, Empire just contributed so much to the symphonic Star Wars universe that it was impossible to ignore. The Imperial March originated in this film, and it appears so frequently, yet never comes across as overused because it represents the main thesis of the film itself. The Empire strikes back. This is the theme that illustrates how the Empire refuses to stop striking back. They are relentless in their pursuit of the rebels, and this theme embodies the dark, oppressive atmosphere of the film absolutely perfectly. Unlike a certain movie which takes a pre-established Return of the Jedi theme and overplays it to no end because it has nothing to say and it knows it. Anyway, I adore Imperial March, and I love how it only gets more intimidating as the film goes on. During my personal favorite scene in Star Wars, the carbonite freezing scene, it gets louder and more sinister than ever before. But that's nothing compared to the slow burn after the I am your Puff Daddy scene.
Not good.
It
when
slows down
Puff
because
Daddy.
this dark revelation really needs to set in for Luke, and it makes the scene way more intense than it already is. But even that's nothing compared to its use when Vader throws shit at Luke and he gets blown out a window. This moment of pure torment is stunningly intense, and the music complements it expertly. God, I just can't overstate how well this movie introduces and adapts Imperial March to a variety of scenes. And its constant use makes those moments of light and levity so much more impactful. For instance, every piece with Yoda is just beautiful. His proper introduction gives off an air of mystery mixed with sorrow, and the theme where he lifts the X-Wing is exceptionally gorgeous, capturing the majesty of the Force so perfectly. The score during the asteroid field sequence is such a great dire escape theme. It expresses the magnitude and danger of the asteroid field so well. The Battle of Hoth has music that excellently accompanies a brutal last stand, and of course, Han and Leia's love theme. So powerful. Its use in the aforementioned carbon freezing scene, both during their farewell kiss and somberly after Han is frozen, just wreck me emotionally. It's given an urgent feel during the Boba Fett chase, which is inspired. It makes for a powerful, melancholic end to the film. And finally, it's used in what is perhaps my favorite musical moment in all of Star Wars.
I never doubted you for a second. Wonderful!
This scene gives me chills every time. It feels like the gang is finally home free after all this horror they've endured. And the music swelling like that is the stuff dreams are made of. And then the score syncs up with the blaster bolts at the end. I mean, honestly, what more could you ask for?
Well, that is cool.
Empire Strikes Back's score is the perfect melding of darkness and light, countering each oppressive sting with a glimmer of tremendous hope and love. It's so easy to see what makes this score and this film work as well as they do.
I mean, really hitting the nail on the head here. I'm not really sure how I could expand on that. It's tough to overstate just how amazing this score is. The introduction of the Imperial March, Han and the Princess, Yoda's theme, we watch as Obi-Wan's theme transforms into the Force theme as Luke continues his training and becomes a Jedi himself, and I think it's safe to say that the entire battle for Hoth sequence might be my favorite from all 9 Star Wars films, like both in the music and the actual scene. Just listen to the speakers approaching the walkers. It's tense, it's bombastic, it's brilliant.
Alright boys, keep tight now. Luke, I have no approach vector. I'm not set. Steady, Dak.
I don't know what else could be said. As far as I'm concerned, this is the score that made Star Wars, but personally, it's actually not my favorite.
There are 2 more.
This one's my favorite. Without question, absolute favorite. I love everything Williams did, down to the Ewoks.
I guess there was a disagreement about the top spot then.
Okay, maybe not the Ewoks, but really, I could just gush for
I mean,
hours about
Revenge
how
of
much
the
I love
Sith.
this score. So,
Yeah.
like, first off, we have that moment
I can
between
see
Luke and
it.
Leia, and we get Luke and Leia's theme.
Yes. It's you, Leia.
Which, when you look at the music, you can argue that Luke and Leia's theme is a combination of Luke's theme, or the main theme, and Leia's theme from the first film. And, okay, I lied. I actually think my favorite moment in Star Wars is actually the final confrontation between Luke and Vader. I love that Williams alternates between the Emperor's theme and Obi-Wan's theme to represent the conflict between the light side and the dark side of the Force.
I will not fight you, Father.
But wait, hang on, I lied. Okay, my actual favorite moment of Star Wars is Vader's redemption. If you listen closely,
all
you
the
get this
favorite
delicate
moments.
orchestration of the Imperial March. You get some violin, some harp. It's this beautiful, touching moment. Which, as a composer, feels like Williams has done the impossible. In only changing the instrumentation, he's somehow taken one of the most ominous, oppressive pieces of music that we almost unilaterally associate with villainy and evil, and he somehow managed to make it fit in for a father and son reuniting. It's amazing! I can just keep going on and on, but I have to stop at some point.
Return of the Jedi score is honestly pretty underrated in the grand scheme of things. I personally think that it contains some of the most haunting, exhilarating, powerful tracks in the saga. With that said, they're all mainly crammed into the last third, and while the rest of the score is good, there's not a whole lot in those first 2/3 I consider to be phenomenal. But there is some stuff, and here it is. The Sail Barge Assault is one of the most exciting pieces of music in the entire series. That opening offers such incredible build-up to the upcoming action, and the finale
It's all
is
a cool scene,
insanely
too.
triumphant.
Gotta love that whole
I should also
sequence.
mention that the Rancor battle has some excellent boss music. I also really enjoy a lot of the music on Endor, from the soothing ending of the levitation scene to the mystical reworking of classic Star Wars themes as 3PO tells the Ewoks stories of their past adventures, to, of course, that gorgeous Luke and Leia scene. And as soon as Luke enters the second Death Star to confront the Emperor, every single piece of music from that moment on is phenomenal. The Emperor's theme is a masterclass in eeriness. It perfectly captures the essence of this demon and makes you feel like you're in hell. The It's a Trap sequence is everything. Amazing, urgent, intense, exciting, sinister, all at once. I love that flourish of the classic main theme when they
part of
lock
life
as spoils
became
in
a
attack
meme.
positions, before the urgency kicks in again. And it all culminates with this iconic line.
It's a trap!
Oh my god, I love this movie. The moment where Luke attacks Vader is so emotionally rich, with the eerie, wobbly chanting giving me chills every time. It's unlike anything else I've heard in Star Wars, which is perfect because it underscores the darkest, most twisted moment for our hero. And the way it transitions into the Emperor's theme is so incredible. That same theme, of course, grows in intensity when the Emperor electrocutes Luke, which makes the moment all the more shocking. All of my puns are intended, don't even ask. It is darkness incarnate, complete with magnificent chanting and stunning intensity. And Vader's heroic sacrifice is a tremendous, triumphant musical moment if I've ever seen one. And the escape from the second Death Star comes standard with some awesome, action-y sound. And while I don't like most special edition changes, I actually prefer the new Celebration music over Yub Nub. Yub Nub is quirky and cute, but the special edition version is a gorgeous finale and send-off for this story. Return of the Jedi score is absolutely awe-inspiring, offering some of the most emotionally resonant tracks in the entire series and making for one phenomenal symphonic ride. And yet, there's still one more movie to go.
Okay, nice transition there.
Revenge of the Sith is one of my favorite film scores in cinematic history. It's operatic
it does
and
have the big
supreme
moments.
in ways that so few soundtracks truly are. It's fitting since this movie depicts the most important and heartbreaking events in the entire saga, meaning it would be a Herculean task to accurately capture such feelings through music. And yet, John Williams rises to the occasion so effortlessly. Sideways and I had wildly different rankings for this film, but in the end, he graciously suggested that I put it at number 1 anyway, which was awesome.
This score has always felt like the black sheep of the family, so to speak, when it came to the grand scheme of Star Wars, at least for me. While it has these epic moments like Anakin becoming Vader and the conflict between Windu and Palpatine and personal favorite Padme's funeral, I think this film introduces the least amount of recurring new musical material when it comes to the whole 9-film saga, aside from Rise of Skywalker. But what that means is that this ends up becoming the ultimate version of Williams trying to occupy and develop the musical space that he's created with the other 5 films, which up to this point were the only ones he'd scored. Like, while it is one of the few new pieces of music introduced in this film, when you listen to that epic duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan in the last half hour of the film, it really feels like Williams is flexing as hard as he can.
Yeah. That's pretty great.
Which, for me, highlights how important it is to remember that when you're looking at music, you have to keep in mind your own perspective. While I absolutely love going through all 9 films and trying to hear all the musical connections that Williams has crafted over a 40-year span, in a way, it feels like when it comes to this film, you really have to step back and think about how the music is speaking to you. So while this film wasn't specifically my number 1, I want to know why you loved this score.
From the pulse-pounding opening scene that perfectly syncs with the battle, it's clear that Williams is kicking the intensity up a notch. The music contributes to such an exciting opening act to the film, and it just gets more musically enticing as it goes along, like when Anakin lands the cruiser. Ready? Also, Grievous's entrance on Utapau is such fire, and I have no idea why.
Yeah.
Also, the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise is scored so hauntingly and eerily, it's just perfect. There's a few other great touches here and there, like the build-up to...
Yo, what's up?
And the subtle reincorporation of the Emperor's theme when Palpy reveals himself, but nothing compares to the chilling eeriness of Padme's ruminations. This is the start of the greatest trend in Revenge of the Sith score. The way it tells the story by accompanying sequences with no dialogue. It's such a phenomenal scene because it doesn't have any George Lucas dialogue, just powerful, emotional visuals accompanied by this tremendous, harrowing score. And from the moment Mace Windu barges into Sheev's office, the score is practically perfect for the rest of the film. This music track, entitled I Am the Senate, that's not a joke, it is literally called that, is insane. It is amazing. Horror music. The monster has been unleashed and he is on a killing spree. The music sets up that idea so well. The part where Anakin strolls in sounds phenomenal, and the best part has to be when Mace gets his hand chopped off.
Yeah.
It slays me, and it's followed up by the Emperor's theme growing in volume and intensity as it goes along. Order 66 is absolutely phenomenal. It's tragic to an insane extent and completely carries the scene. Every bit of sadness is punctuated perfectly by the music. There's such a sense of finality through Bail Organa's line, and so it is. And I think the score winding down at that point plays a big role. I love the way Society is scored. This whole scene is operatic and intense and absolutely wonderful. And I'm So Sorry is one of my favorite musical moments in film, capturing Anakin's internal conflict and regret over all his dark deeds. It is heart-wrenching and the quintessential example of the power of score over script. A Path I Can't Follow also tells the story way better than words ever could, so it's a shame it has to accompany words, especially words like, "Don't make me kill you." The score captures the broken friendship between Anakin and Obi-Wan in a way words could never, and it all leads into one of the greatest scores to any fight in history ever. It is freaking insane how amazing this music is. Also, Duel of the Fates honestly fits Yoda vs. Sidious way more than it fit the Maul fight in my opinion, since this is literally a duel for the fate of the galaxy. So that's great, but even that doesn't compare to the finale of the Anakin and Obi-Wan duel. Oh my God! The aftermath of this duel is hauntingly beautiful and emotionally moving, and the way the dramatic chanting overtakes the Force theme during Padme's death and Vader's rebirth, it's fire! Revenge of the Sith is a masterclass in film scoring. It gives each scene way more weight and emotional resonance than they could possibly have otherwise. And it's also exciting and captivating to listen to outside of the context of the film. Even though Revenge of the Sith is far from my favorite Star Wars movie, and I don't think it's great overall, it has, in my opinion, absolute best score in Star Wars history. It's everything I could possibly want in a film score and more. So, that was our list. Hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what your score ranking would be. Anyway, if you'll excuse me, I need to think of a flimsy connection between the video topic and the sponsor in order to create the illusion of a seamless transition.
Yeah, well, that was an interesting list.
Remember when the Resistance ship got tracked through lightspeed by Palpatine? Supreme Leader Smoke? If only they had used a VPN to hide their lightspeed travel network. Well, the good news is you don't have to make the same mistake, because you can use Surfshark VPN, an incredible product that encrypts your data and protects you online. Surfshark VPN allows you to access geo-restricted content, meaning you can trick your browser into thinking you're in another country, thus allowing you to access content you couldn't get otherwise. That way you don't have to physically travel to another country to watch that country's exclusive Netflix content, for example. You can also use Surfshark and its HackLock system to get alerts anytime your email address or password is compromised. HackLock scans various databases of leaked information and notifies its users if their data is found so they can take action, which is an absolutely invaluable feature. Surfshark is also totally unlimited, meaning you can use it on as many devices as you like, even all at the same time. No other VPN allows this. Go to surfshark.deals/Rillis and enter promo code Rillis to get 83% off and 1 extra month of Surfshark VPN for free. It's an amazing deal, and it's even better because it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not satisfied, you can cancel during those 30 days and get your money back. If you're looking for a great VPN, there's no reason not to give Surfshark a try. Once again, head to surfshark.deals/Rillis and enter the promo code Rillis. Have a great time with Surfshark VPN.
Alright. I think that looks to be it. So there we go. Yeah, that was a cool video. I think it was interesting. That's not something I really ever thought too much about before. But I mean, the films all do have good soundtracks. I mean, it's John Williams. He's not gonna. It's not gonna suck when you get John Williams in there. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if I really have too much input. I mean, my own list, as said, would probably be a bit too tethered to what my thoughts on the actual films, just because I don't think I've ever really watched the Star Wars movies with like specific attention paid specifically only to how I feel about the soundtrack. So I wouldn't be able to do it objectively, but I mean, I think this is probably a pretty good list, and it sounded like they knew what they were talking about. And I mean, the Sideways guy definitely probably does, because he's got the background for it. Yeah, this was cool. Definitely an interesting video. Not really too much else to say. I hope you guys liked the reaction, even if you did, and see you in the next one.